Welcome to all family members of Rescue and Relief. Today, in Donor Speak, episode 3, we will have conversation with a very esteemed senior member of our organization, Professor Joyoti Basu. Professor Basu is a scientist and has retired as a professor from the Department of Chemistry at Bose Institute, Kolkata. She is a recipient of the Bose National Fellowship in 2017. She is the perfect example of an old quote, "A friend in need is a friend indeed." Because whenever I get in trouble in terms of any problems in the organization, she has come forward and helped me into the right direction. I welcome Professor Joyoti Basu. Firstly, I would like to thank her for being there for my children and grandparents, and also for taking out time for today's conversation from her important schedule. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you for the kind words, Siddhant. In fact, it is I who should be thanking you for introducing me to the world of village in a way I would not have otherwise been able to interact. So, a learning experience and a pleasure for me to be part of some of the work that you do.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, the first question that I ask all my members is, how do you first hear about us?
I heard first about your organization from one of your members who approached us and sort of illuminated us about the kind of distressed people that you help. So it's your organization who reached out to us, came to our institute, and that's how I learned about Rescue and Relief.
Okay. Ma'am, what do you think of the current situation of underprivileged in our country, and how the role of organization like us can bring a lasting change?
I think, of course, that we cannot overemphasize the need to reach out to the underprivileged in this country. And especially with the COVID situation, the need is even more now than it was before, perhaps. And in that sense, you're doing something really, something which should be commended. And I think we can never really do enough in this country for the underprivileged.
Ma'am,
so can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, completely. Ma'am, you have been supporting our girls and children and grandparents for almost 5 years now. Have we met, unmet, or exceeded your expectation?
It's not that I started out with any expectations. So whatever I've seen you doing, that has been quite an eye-opener for me. And whatever you do, I have the highest regard for the kind of work that you do. So yes, it's not a question of meeting expectation. It's just that it's been a huge learning experience for me. And I have nothing but the highest regard for the kind of work that you do.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, like you have visited most of our project in last 5 years. How would you describe your experience during your meet with my grandparents and my children? Like, firstly, I would like you to talk about memories of our Girl Child project, then the rehabilitation home at Shashon, which where we are working for children and grandparents, then the Kolkata old age home, and finally the Belgorria students rehabilitation home.
You want me to talk about all of them anyway. So the girls' home was the first one that I visited. And of course, I read a lot about child trafficking and many organizations working with protecting children and so on. I mean, that was my first sort of close encounter with these girls. And it was really, it was a humbling experience, to say the least, because you don't have what kind of privileges you're born with. Then you see these young children placed in a situation where they never should have been in the first place, yet they are. due to circumstances well beyond their control. And yes, I realized that it's really a wake-up call for all of us, especially for women, to come out for these girls, try to help them in whatever way we can. And again, I was full of admiration for the ladies, some of whom I've met, who give their full time towards bringing some light into the lives of these children. The ones that we met directly, we could interact with, they were sort of children, I would say. So yes, that was an educating experience for me. And yes, then the next visit to Shashon, yes. Of course, Shashon was in a beautiful setting. So the setting itself is really opens up your heart. You're close to nature. And there you see a mix of young children in need of being given some direction in their life, living in the same complex as a group of elderly grandparents, I would say. And it's good to see that there is an environment there where they can interact also, these two groups of people. And I think some of it happens also. So that's a unique kind of setting. And of course, one must admire the efforts of the person who got the whole thing started. So Shashon was also a unique experience. And of course, I must say that the setting is really one where the mind also can develop in an environment unlike that of the, let's say, the Kolaghat home. So that where there is simply not so much of space and interaction with nature. So I enjoyed that visit, but of course the visit to your Kolaghat home was like no other, because it's seldom that we get to interact with those who are in their twilight years, and so very much looking forward to somebody spending some time with them, with people who can share some of their life stories with. And that again was a humbling experience, because sometimes we simply do not give enough of our time to these people who are now in their twilight years, who have given much in life, I think, to so many of us. So yes, that was gratifying in many respects. And yes, it was wonderful to share an afternoon where they came forward so eagerly to share with us whatever talents each one had, whether it be singing a song or reciting a poem or just telling their life stories. And last of all, your Belghoria home, yes, that was also a very good experience to see that the hopes and aspirations of young boys had a place where it could be nurtured, where those who were passing out with the benefit of this system were actually passing on their experience, their spending their time to again groom younger boys. So that was also an enjoyable experience. And to see that some of them have done actually very well in life and others were going to follow. So I enjoyed the visits to all these sites very much.
Ma'am, I'd just like to mention that in the Belghoria home, one of our boys has also right now studying in IIT Guwahati and doing his post graduation. So, and he's also training other boys to crack NET exams, helping them to crack difficult exams. So that is definitely
yes.
Ma'am. But ma'am, like you've been a very old member, and I have not got you to ask this, but I will take this opportunity to ask you, ma'am, what would you like to change in the organization? Is there something you don't like and want us to improve?
Well, I have very little experience in the field. So, I mean, there is always things that can be changed. You can make a lot of improvements. So there's nothing that I did not like, but a visit to all your sites, I just felt one thing, that the standard of the living conditions, if that could be improved a little, it might be better. Not in terms of anything glamorous, but just in terms of, let's say, having more airy rooms, well lit. I mean, it's good for the mind also. If you live in an environment which is neat, clean, and especially for the young children, if they get that training, how to keep their lives organized, how to keep, let's say, their books, clothes, etc., and all, just learning how to be organized in life, how to maintain discipline. Yes, I don't think that you would have direct role in that, but if in some way the message could be conveyed that these are also important things in life. For example, Shashun, there is that huge area. So if the boys could give some of their time to just, kind of cleaning up the area, it would be good exercise for them, good for the habitat, and it would also be good for the mind, that sense.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for, I will take that as a feedback and we'll give our best shot on working on that also. Ma'am, like my final question will be, ma'am, like your message to people who are looking forward to be part of our organization, ma'am.
I would say just come forward, visit the sites. If you can't visit the sites, then at least look at what's in the website. I mean, many of us have lots of doubts in our minds about, what do these NGOs do? But I think those are doubts that we should set aside, because a lot of good work is being done and we owe something to society as well. And not of all of us are willing to spare much of our own time. So instead of criticizing, I think we should come forward and help in whatever way we can. Yes, and set aside the doubts and come forward. That's what I would say.
Thank you, ma'am. And ma'am, what did you most enjoy about our organization?
If it's to be about your organization, it's that we have a lot of young people, and to see young people really enjoying giving something back to society, that's a really nice experience. So the spirit of the people who work with you, that's something I enjoyed seeing. When I saw them going and, kind of enjoying an afternoon playing football with some of the boys, that was nice. And unless young people come forward and realize the beauty of working with society at large, nothing will really come out of anything. So young people have to be engaged.
Definitely, ma'am. I also believe this, that I am blessed with a very young team, a very excited young team who wants to do something for the society, who wants to see a change. It's not, I always say that giving an opinion is the easy thing. Difficult part is working on that opinion. And I think Rescue Relief is blessed with a team which not only gives opinion, but also works on the ground reality, works on the ground and tries to make a change on a daily basis. Oh, so that was Professor Joyoti Basu and her thoughts about the situation of underprivileged in our country, and her view of the little work or impact we as an organization are trying to do to bring a lasting change. We are grateful to her for taking out her precious time to be with us and convey this message to our family members and the mass. Today in this episode, we also have a small message and request from our children also. So I'll take ma'am's permission so that I can play it. May I, ma'am?
Sure.
Ma'am, can you see the video?
Yes, I can.
I'll play it.
My name is Krishnendu Shah and I study in class 6 in Ramakrishna Vedanta Ashram, Vidya Mandir. My hobbies are playing football and singing. On behalf of all my brothers, sisters, and grandparents. At Rescue and Relief Foundation, I would like to convey my heartfelt thanks to you for looking after me and my friends. I am happy and enjoy my life, and all the credit goes to you. I am looking forward to meet you play cricket one day at my ashram. Please come. Pranam. Dear Kavita, my name is Kavita. I read in class 6. My name is Arvati. I read in class 4. My name is Moon Malik. I study class 5. I 6. My name is Obitindra. I class 3. My name is Vicky Sadar. I read in class 9. My name is Bhavaidas. I read in class 8 from Ramakrishna Vedantashram Vidya Mandir. My name is Nila Ahmed. In class 9. My name is Joy Hati. I read in class 8.
So that was the video, ma'am. These children are from our Behala home. So, ma'am, I'm looking also forward to see you at our Behala home very soon. Ma'am, before we go and we complete this episode today, I would like you to complete this episode with a final thought of a memory that you still have from one of our projects.
I have one memory of a little girl. I think she might have been around maybe 9, 10, I don't remember. At your girls' home in Narendrapur, who actually came and played a short piece on the ukulele for us. So I enjoyed that. I mean, there's so much talent in those little girls. And there's a lot of hope for the future. So I do hope that they have a brighter, better future ahead of them. So I still remember the little girl and the talent that she had. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for taking out the time and taking out the trouble for this interview. We look forward to see you again in the project. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.